So anyway, my dinner with Frank Sinatra. I'm in Las Vegas. I'm working at the MGM Grand. I go into town with my mother, who's 69 at this point. She dies within 4 months on her 70th birthday. My wife is with me. She's pregnant with our second son. Our older son is with us. And our Filipino nanny, Koi Koi, who ended up being with us for 17 years, is with us. So we go to the MGM Grand, and I get a call in the afternoon from my friend Tom Dreesen, the great comedian out of Chicago, who opens for Sinatra, and they're down at the Desert Inn. And Tom says, listen, our shows are staggered tonight. Why don't you come down and see Frank? And I go, geez, I've never seen him. I'll be there with bells on. Why don't you leave a ticket for one for me, one for my mom, one for my wife? So I do my show, and I'm really anticipatory. I can hardly focus on what I'm doing on stage. I run up to the room right after the show to gather everybody. And like I said, my wife's pregnant. She says, honey, I don't quite feel well, so why don't you take Koi Koi with you? I'm sure she'd like to see him. Great, off we go. We go down to see Frank Sinatra. And it's a great show. It's not vintage Sinatra at this point. It's towards the end. Indeed, he's in his denouement. He actually repeated a song, but I wasn't going to say anything. If they'd asked me, I would have said, yeah, better second time through, Frank. Much better. I remember at this point in time, I was at a party with Don Rickles, and Rickles is good friends with Sinatra, and he had been down to the desert to meet, to spend some time at the compound, where I always loved that concept. And I said, how is Frank, Don? And he said, oh, he's good, but he has Sicilian Alzheimer's disease. And I said, really, Don, what's that? And he said, he only remembers the grudges. Nobody funnier in the world than Don Rickles. Don, if you perchance catch this, you're the greatest comedian I've ever seen. I remember when I first met Rickles, it was the thrill of my life. He'd always been my idol. He was on my old show on HBO, Dennis Miller Live, and I didn't want to talk to him backstage because I was really nerve-wracked about meeting him, and I didn't want to blow it all back there. I thought, since it was live, I'd meet him out there and, pay homage to him. So Rickles comes out, and he sits down. We're on the air, and I go, hey, Don, nice to meet you. How's the career? And he says, I'm on this piece of shit, aren't I? Perfect, just what I wanted. So anyway, after the show, we go backstage to thank Tom Dreesen. And unbelievably, Dreesen says to me, hey, listen, Frank dug you on Saturday Night Live. Why don't you come to dinner with us? I can't believe he knows me. I'm a pig in slop. Let's go. So we go to this restaurant, the Desert Inn, and there's like the main room, and then the VIP room, and then the VIP room, and then the Warren Beatty, Jack Nicholson room, and then way in the back, there's the chairman of the boardroom. They opened the door. There it is, one table for 10. Right across from me sits the great man, Frank Sinatra. On this side of him sits his wife, Barbara. On this side, his attorney, and his attorney's wife. Over his shoulder, these two big Italian bodyguards. Dreesen sits here, and my mom sits here. I sit right across from him, and Koi Koi, the nanny, sits between Barbara Sinatra and I. So we're having a blast. Around 20 minutes in, it's like surrealistic for a kid like me. I'm thinking, geez, I can't believe it. And he's being so nice to us and so gracious that I begin to realize that he thinks that Koi Koi is my wife. Because they're being so nice, and I think, well, there's no reason to tell them. You don't want to make this awkward or make Koi Koi feel stilted, so I just roll with it. It seems like nothing. But then around 35 minutes in, Koi Koi nudges me under the table. I look down, and under the tablecloth, she's holding an autograph book with a poodle on the front cover. And she's like motioning towards Sinatra. I'm completely vomitous. I can't say anything, so I go heavy body language. I'm like, I look up, I catch Sinatra's eyes. He thinks I'm having a seizure. So I have to straighten up, but now I'm completely panicked. It's hanging over my head like the autograph book of Damocles. I can think of nothing else. So around 10 minutes later, I decide it's time to get up and blow dodge and kiss the ring. We go around the table to kiss the ring because it's Sinatra, and that's what you do. Here's how cool this guy is. My mom goes in first. Now, like I said, my mom's 69 at this point. She's dead within like 120 days. I always thank you, God, that you allowed this to happen for her. She steps up and she says, Mr. Sinatra, when I was a young girl in Pittsburgh in 1952, I saw you at the Stanley Theater, and to finally have dinner with you later in life like this, it's just the thrill of my life, sir. Sinatra looks up at her. He says, 1952, Stanley Theater, Pittsburgh. Yeah, I remember that show, baby. You were on the left side of the stage that night. You look good. So, it rocked me. I was so touched. I stepped up. At this point, I would have slept with him. I got like a tear in my eye. I go, Frank, Jesus, what you just did for my mother. He literally gives me the jilly face like, get out of here. I do a half turn. Koi Koi steps up, whap. She hits him with the autograph book. Oh, I'm trying to stop it. I look over to my mom for help. She's floating off the ground like this, and just like a Fern Gully fairy. She's no help. Over my shoulder, I actually hear Frank Sinatra say, did you say soy soy? And the bodyguard says, koi koi, Frank, koi koi. I then hear Sinatra say, K-C, what? I'm flipping out. I have to walk out towards the main room. Koi Koi and my mom come floating out. I can't get mad at Koi Koi. For God's sake, she's from the Philippines. She just had dinner with Frank Sinatra. She's in low-level shock. I say, Koi, at least let me see it. I open up to the page that he signed, and it says Tosopo, S-O-P-O. It's like he went so far with it and said, fuck this, you're Sopo. Oh, man, unbelievable.